Welcome to Growing Your Team, a podcast designed for small business owners seeking to grow their company with the help of employees and contractors. Your time is limited, which means growing and leveraging teams is essential for business success. The Growing Your Team podcast is the place to learn tips and techniques designed to help you know when it's the right time to hire, how to select perfect fit team members, and how to maximize productivity while creating a positive work environment. Drawing from her 10-plus years of leadership and hiring experience, here is your host, Jamie Van Kuyk.
Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today is the last solo episode of 2021. I can't believe we're at the end of another year. Well, there is one more episode of the Growing Your Team podcast coming out next week with a fantastic guest. It's an interview you do not want to miss. This is the last time this year it's going to be just me. And of course, in 2022, bringing you a lot more amazing content here on the Growing Your Team podcast. In January, we'll be reaching our 2-year anniversary of the podcast, and I can't wait. But let's wrap up with talking about one more very important topic. And that is, I hate to break it to you, but you're turning into the boss that you hate. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that started their own business because they needed to leave corporate because they were tired of the way that they were being treated. They felt like their bosses were disrespectful. They felt like their bosses didn't value their work or trust them, listen to their ideas, and then they end up doing the exact same things when they start hiring their team. And the sad thing is, a lot of times they don't realize it. They feel that they are valuing their employees, but their actions don't match their words. And sometimes what causes this is the fact that you had bosses that you didn't like, that you felt didn't treat you right, that made it so you wanted to quit. But that is the leadership style that you are used to. And while you didn't like it, it's from those people that you learned how to be a leader. You seen that leadership, and while you might not wanted to be that leader, you were turning into it because that was what was in front of you. You learned their behavior, whether you wanted to or not. So as this year comes to an end, I want to challenge you to start looking at your behavior and how you're treating your team. I want you to think about reasons that you didn't like your bosses in the past. And then really ask yourself, am I doing this within my own business? So let me give you a few examples of things that have happened with clients of mine where they have started turning into the bosses that they hate. So there was one client of mine who left her corporate career and started her own business because she said, my bosses didn't value me. They didn't see my talents. They thought I wasn't competent. They were always negative towards the work I was putting out, no matter how hard I worked. This particular client had some trouble filling one of her positions when we were working together. And not that we couldn't find candidates, it was that she couldn't keep new employees. And in multiple cases, she would want to fire her employees and then they would quit before she could. And one of the things that I saw from email exchanges that she shared with me and text messages that she shared with me is she was showing those same things that she said she didn't approve of with the way she was treated. She didn't value her team members' opinion. She didn't think her team members were competent. She didn't see them as hard workers, was always seeing the wrong in what they did and not giving them the benefit of the doubt or understanding that they just started with the company and weren't going to be perfect, and was then treating them and saying things to them that was just kind of in a way soul crushing. So it wasn't that she was just feeling like they were not hitting the mark that she was setting. She was telling them which then was creating this negative spiral, and the team members were leaving. And she couldn't understand why. And so we pointed it out and said, this behavior needs to change if you want to keep your team members. You're turning into the boss that you said you hated. Another example was a client that left working for someone else and started their own business because they felt like they always had to be on, they could never take vacations, and that they were working to produce money for the company, but they didn't feel that the company actually cared about them. And with this particular client, they were showing the same things to their employees, that they didn't care about their employees. Their employees were there to make money for the company. And one of the ways that they were doing this was really not giving their employees vacation time. The first year of employment, employees could not take vacation. Vacation days didn't start until they hit that 1-year anniversary. And I asked him, why is this? And they said, well, we don't want to give employees vacation and then have them quit. We want to make sure that they're good employees, that they put in their time to deserve their vacation, because, pretty much like we need to make sure they're good and of value to us before we can allow them to have this benefit. And I was like, wow, do you realize how one-sided that is? So for an entire year, you want someone to show up for work every day. They're not allowed to take a day off for their mental health. They're not allowed to enjoy a vacation with their family. They're not allowed to possibly even maybe take the day after Christmas off so that way they can go see their family for the holidays. For that first year, they have to be here every day because it's what you require, so that way you trust them. You don't trust any of your employees until they hit that 1-year mark to be a loyal team member to you. So it's all about you. You don't see vacation as as something for them. And they also didn't see how giving their employees vacation benefits the company. And if you're not sure how vacation benefits the company, go back and listen to episode 29, The High Cost of Not Giving Your Employees Vacation Time. But it took a little while for this client to see that, they were in multiple ways, not just with this vacation time, with other things, showing their employees that they didn't value them. They didn't trust them, that the employees were there to make money for the company until they reached a certain level of a certain threshold, where then they were going to start throwing them a little bone to hopefully keep them happy and keep them with the company. But for that first year, they didn't value. And just imagine, for a year is a long time. And to feel like your company doesn't value you and doesn't trust you for a year, why would you stay with them? Why would you go to a company as a good, hardworking employee and feel like you have to give them a full year until you can be allowed to take a day for yourself? Good employees aren't going to do that. Good employees are going to go elsewhere. Good employees are going to quit and go somewhere else. So with this, once we pointed this out to this client, they started changing their policies and stopped being the boss that they hated and started turning into the boss that they wished they had when they were working for somebody else. So once again, I challenge you to look at your behavior. Are you yelling at your employees after you had a boss that yelled at you and they yelled at you so much you left? Do you not know about your employees' long-term goals, but you left your corporate job because you felt that your boss didn't care about your long-term goals and they only focused on the work that you produced today? Are you telling your employees day in and day out that your company is more important than them, and that's why you left a company? Because you felt that your boss's behaviors showed that you didn't matter. It was only the company that mattered. It's far too easy to turn into the boss that we hated. With the guest episodes, we end each one asking people to share about a leader or manager that stood out to them in a good, positive way. And one of the things you'll hear is people will say all the time, because of this, I learned how to do this, or I apply this to my own team. I do this now. And those are things that we're consciously doing. We're consciously applying this behavior to the way we lead our team. But then there's also those negative things. There's those things that we don't like. And while we're not consciously doing it, sometimes we are subconsciously picking up that behavior and doing it for our team. So we need to look at our own behavior. We need to see, what are we doing that we hated when someone else did? And if you have a team that's willing to share, ask them. Some team members, no matter how much you tell them that you value and you want their feedback, they're not comfortable sharing the feedback. Especially if you have some not so great and highly negative behaviors as a boss. But it's always worth asking your team to see if they'll share feedback, to see if they'll tell you that they kind of sometimes hate you as a boss because of these activities or these behaviors that you're doing. But you can do some self-reflection. Think about why you hated your boss, why they led you to start a business of your own instead of continuing up the corporate ladder or working for someone else. Once you really think about why you left them, view your own behavior. Be conscious of if you're doing those same things. And if you catch it in yourself, start taking steps to change. Become the boss that you wish you had instead of being the boss that you hated and made you leave your job to start the business that you have now. And yes, you might be thankful that you had that boss and they pushed you out of that career so you could have the business that you have now. But you, as an individual, want to make a positive impact on your employees. So let's do it. Make that positive impact and don't go down in their mind as the boss that they hated. Be the boss that they love. And they're excited to work for every day and want to be with you for the long term. So that wraps up this solo episode. Once again, we have one more episode of 2021 that's going live next Tuesday, but I'll be back at the beginning of January with our next solo episode and welcome you into 2022.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Growing Your Team with your host, Jamie Van Kuyk. Be sure to subscribe and head on over to growingyourteam.com to connect, access the show notes, and discover more ways to hire and leverage your perfect fit team.